In this episode, you're going to learn what are the differences between Gemini 2.5 Pro and other leading models. We'll also touch upon DeepSeek V3, and then we will compare the image capabilities of the leading model providers. And at the end, I guess we'll have some fun with video models like View 2, which I think it's pretty secretive. I don't know if we're even supposed to talk about it. Hi everyone, I'm Filip and I'm the CEO at Wordware. This is Robert, my best friend. We've been building a company together for the last 3 years. After meeting 11 years ago at Cambridge doing research into AI, we've gone through everything from self-driving cars, through BERT, through GPT-4o, to now raising a $30 million seed round. And we are building Wordware, which is the ultimate place to build your AI agents and deploy them into your life or as a backend to all of your startup and company. So Robert, bring me up to speed. What's been happening?
Well, two big new models, Gemini 2.5 Pro, mere months after the original Gemini 2.0 came out, and an exciting new model I'm sure you've seen all over Twitter, the Studio Ghibli style of images. They're all coming from GPT-4o, but 4o with image generation added. So what's really cool to see is this like multimodal AI models, and like the LLMs not only being text in, but also, text in and images in, but text out and images out.
And then DeepSeek V3. So
V3, three new models. There we go.
3 new models. And I think, the biggest TLDR is models are getting commoditized. But let's dive straight in. Let's talk through about each one of them and talk about the exact benchmarks.
So if you look at the metrics down on the screens, and it's pretty cool to see just how well. I mean, these are not the major step changes we've been seeing last year, where it was like things were going from 0% or like 10% or something to being like now like 50, 60%. But it's just like marching forward improvements. And I think what's especially cool about Gemini 2.5 Pro, in fact, if you scroll down a little bit on that page, is just how good it is at long context reasoning. I think that's the area where it really shines compared to the other models on the market. It really can do this long context, and that's like 1 million tokens. And people throw around 1 million tokens. It's like,
what does
that mean? What does that mean? That's like 10 whole books. Crazy. Like that's a lot of knowledge to be holding in your head whilst you're answering a question.
So my take on this is, we've very briefly played with 2.5 Pro, but our whole lease for a new office has been basically reviewed by Gemini 2.0 Pro, and I must say any other model was basically useless because it had 100 pages of PDF, and I feel like the Gemini models are less lazy.
Yeah.
They kind of they don't get stuck in like first 20 pages and they're like, I'm tired.
Yeah, I think also it has native support for PDF, which makes it so much better. It's like PDFs are not just text. And so I think what they've done, and it's all internal, we don't know, but I think what they're doing is they're turning the pages of the PDF into images, and they've trained the model to be very good at understanding the text and the like arrangement of the page. So when you've got tables, when you've got references, these are all sort of in the training set for the model, rather than just like, let's try and convert a PDF into Markdown or something that a model can read, and then what do we do when there's figures, when there's tables, when there's like that kind of thing.
And audio as well.
Audio, yeah. I haven't yet played with the audio output or audio input from Gemini 2.5 Pro, but a bunch of really cool stuff.
So next, we found a question thanks to Simple Bench. It's a very cool kind of database of a couple questions that are quite difficult. We firstly tried to solve them with Filip GPT and Robert GPT.
Turns out we're not as good as Gemini.
I did it.
All right.
So Filip GPT, you heard it here first, better than Robert GPT.
We'll do more benchmarks and we'll see.
All right, so let's get started. We are right now in the Wordware editor. So we write a prompt here, and we've already added all the models. We add them on the same day, and we will compare them for you every time they come out the same day. So we do a slash, and then we can play around with a bunch of tools. We have actions, we have more 2000 integrations, but for now, let's keep it extremely simple. We created a new generation. This generation sees everything above it as part of the prompt, and we're just gonna choose the Gemini 2.5 Pro. So we recently have been joined by a videographer, so maybe he will do a better job explaining what is happening in this question. But we essentially have a car which is traveling northwards at 30 kilometers an hour, and there's a lot of data about what is happening and what is the wind, and where there is a bridge that flows, that a river flows beneath it. And
I think maybe if you pause the video and read the question, if you care about the question, fundamentally there's a lot of noise, and the point is there's a glove that's fallen out the back of a car, and you need to work out where that glove's going to end up. And the sort of, it either could have fallen in the river, but the wind isn't really strong enough to have blown it in the river, or it could have just sat on the road and kind of like maybe moved forwards a few meters because the car was moving forwards. But the whole point of this question is it puts a lot of distractors, and we know the attention mechanism of models gets very kind of pattern matchy, and like we'll try and like answer the question. And a lot of the models that are not reasoning completely fail at this. And we're going to now test out Gemini 2.5 Pro and also compare that to DeepSeek and OpenAI.
All right, so we got to the first token. It was a while. I don't know. We actually had a great conversation about life and exchanged some, views on the quantum physics in the meantime. And we're seeing that it's really trying. It's you can stop the video in any point if you would like to see exactly what is figuring it out, but it's evaluating the options, and it went out with option F, 5 kilometers eastward. Funnily enough, we did run this before the video, and it came out with a different answer. So another here did a similar analysis, but came up with a completely different answer. So we see that, not only it does not get to the correct answer, which is less than 1 kilometer northward, which basically means that the glove was left on the bridge. That's it. But it actually is not consistent either. So let's now switch the models. So let's, I'm gonna do something very quick here. I'm gonna add the DeepSeek v3. This is basically the model that precedes DeepSeek R2. So they are basically working on R2, and it will be, in my opinion, somewhat similar, just better fine-tuned. And then in Wordware, it's extremely easy to just say, check this answer and improve, and mix these two models together. So we're going to create another generation, and this time we're going to press Gemini 2.5 Pro and improve, and we'll have two, and this generation will see the answer from the DeepSeek generation and everything above it. So in that way you can quickly mix together two models or even more, and create a chain of thought. So now we're going to see how quickly. All right, so DeepSeek gets to work straight away.
Thinking for a while.
So now the answer is E. So it's actually different than both of the other answers. So we got A at the beginning, then we got an F, and now we got an E. And now Gemini 2.5 Pro will be checking this answer. All right, so again, it's checking the whole answer. It's trying to see whether, anything would happen to it. And it reached A now. So again, you can go through the whole trace and try to figure out whether it's correct or not, but I just have no clue. We actually know that it was just left on the bridge. That's it. That's if a glove would fall out when you're driving on a bridge and there would be essentially no wind, that's where you would go to look and find the glove. It's pretty simple, to be honest.
Might have blown into the river from the apparent wind from the cars. But
yeah. But all right, so I think this shows us, very quickly that these models are actually not dealing well with it, and we'll review the newest model and check with the same question and see whether we get there.
Let's take a little look at the new GPT-4o model with the image generation. And I think a really nice way to explore this one is to kind of look at one of the examples we have in Wordware that people love, where you turn yourself into a Lego figure. And actually, this is quite an advanced prompt, because it first really describes what's going on in the image and then converts that description into a Lego figure prompt for the model, for Flux or any of these Stable Diffusion models, and then you generate the image with Stable Diffusion. What's really cool about using GPT-4o is that it can see the image directly, And you can write a prompt as simple as turn this into a Lego figurine image.
Figurines.
Yeah, I mean, that was literally the first prompt I tried, and you'll need to use GPT-4o. So with the prompt as simple as like turn this into an image of Lego figurines and a little meta picture of us recording this mini podcast or whatever we call it. We now see that it's generating.
So we did this
directly.
before, as always, you can kind of with Wordware, you can kind of live in a little bit in the future if you just make the models and give them a little bit more direction rather than having them figured out exactly how to do everything. So this is the output of a longer prompt where you ask the multiple different models to describe what's happening and then create a very, very, very detailed prompt that will be fed into Flux Pro, which is one of the image generation things. And this is the thing that we received.
So it's pretty much us. It kind of follows what we're wearing. We look like Lego figures. And it's like quite a realistic Lego-like scene.
So let's see.
What's interesting is this is very slow, and I'm not sure whether it's very slow because it's super popular right now, and it's just like a lot of like queuing time, or it is just a really, really slow decoder. Because this is like, it takes like 60 seconds or something to generate these images. So architecture-wise, I don't know whether this is actually a image tokens being generated by the LLM, which I think would be surprising. I think it is just some kind of prompt being generated and fed into a DALL-E-like model.
Apparently no. Apparently it's a model that produces the image.
It is GPT-4o directly producing the image. There are various different architectures of how you can do this. It's certainly they are feeding the image in as context in that model, so there is an image-to-image transform. Whether the image tokens are being generated directly, because this must be a diffusion process to get the... Is it a diffusion process? Because the way it's generating the image, if you go back, it's generating the image top to bottom.
Yeah, but look how accurate it is.
That's kind of interesting. It's almost like it generated the blurry tokens, and now it's generating refined tokens, which is what diffusion does.
My God, but this is great.
It's interesting to do it in a
This is awesome.
It's awesome. And so the prompt was way simpler. The output is extremely matching to us. Like, look at that happy chappy on the left, and that smiling guy on the right. And it matches the composition perfectly because it's got that context of the image in the input. Wow.
Image created, that's it.
Oh, is that it?
Let me go back into this. Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
So let's download this. Oh God, it's good. It's very cool.
Impressive.
That is very impressive. All right.
Even got like the very shit we got written on the window behind us.
That's crazy. And it got my garden in behind. Yeah, that's great. All right, so I've also fed a little bit more of a complex thing where I try to do something a little bit more complex, show an idea that I don't know exactly how to show, and I fed it kind of an idea that I've been talking about, an analogy between CPUs and LLMs, and kind of a little bit of a bigger prompt. And here I've noticed one thing, that it doesn't like cut these images properly. It like I don't know what happens here.
Yeah, they put this in their blog post that when it's generating posters, it's quite often cutting off the top and bottom.
Yeah,
it must be something in their training data that has.
And interestingly, I have this is
or it can't work out a priori what the dimensions of the image should be, and therefore it. Yeah, does a square.
This is obviously a apples to oranges explanation, a comparison, because this is not an image model. Claude here wrote code and kind of try to show the same idea in its own creative way. For me, this is better.
This is useful. It's more easily editable. You could go in and change the SVG. Is it SVG or is it HTML? In fact, if you click on the little code button. Okay, so yeah, it's made it as an SVG. You could go in and change that text. You could like change the font size. You'd have more control. But
I don't know if we're supposed to show this.
God, wow.
Let me just feed this one in. Open. Make them talk to each other and laugh. All right, so here we've got two different models. We got AI Studio Google View 2. Is that correct?
I
think
it
it's
says
View
in the
2.
top right corner. I assume, we are allowed to show this.
I think we are allowed to show
There's
this.
certain things we're not allowed to show. We'll check before we
We'll check before. Can we show it? Google. Yeah? Good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we have a video here. I just said make the two-legged figures talk to each other, laugh, and then wink at the camera. So this was the video generated by VO2. And then I'm gonna feed in the
still
same.
some consistency issues. I lost my glasses halfway through the video.
And here we talk to each other, laugh, and then wink at the camera. This is the Sora model.
No winking.
No winking at the end. The winking of the other one was pretty shit as well, but this one, because it's playing with a higher resolution, it's looking a little weird, a little bit roboty, but both are doing a pretty interesting job.
It's matching the Lego-mation or whatever it is called, where people animate Lego figures, and it is a bit jumpy, and the mouth change.
All right, so that's it. We've discussed today Gemini 2.5 Pro. The biggest takeaway here is that the context window is much bigger than other models, and it doesn't get lazy about it, because other people claim they have big context window, but they actually in some benchmarks they say it works, but then when you play around with it, it doesn't.
There's a nice needle in a haystack test where it's like you don't necessarily find the context you're looking for.
Yeah, and then we've discussed the, how do I call it, the GPT-4o image mode.
Yeah, I don't know what to call it. They just said 4o with images on their blog post or something. So yeah.
And how does that compare to, for example, one of the Wordware prompts?
So I think the takeaway is all models are getting commoditized, whether that's image generation or LLMs. I think we've reached a point where whether it's Google or OpenAI or probably even Anthropic, I mean, their LLMs are incredible. There's very little differentiation between who. Different models have different strengths. You want to combine them to use their strengths, and that's where Wordware really comes in. You can access the sort of 70 different models. I think it might even be more than that on our platform. One click to switch the model, to experiment, and build these chains of prompts. So you can really literally use the same models use different models in the same reasoning flow.
And then you can deploy it either to power your product or with triggers and actions, and sign up for the waiting list. We're launching on 8th of April. So I hope to have you as one of our beta testers, and then you can basically trigger this huge workflow with different models and different research tools and different ways to retrieve a page from Notion and trigger it with an email, and actually stop doing anything and just lie on a beach somewhere.
The age of abundance is
goal,
here,
right?
I think, or something like that.
We'll see you guys in the next one.